What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another scene study video coming from the All-American universe, All-American Homecoming in particular. In this video, I'm going to talk about the scene where we see the conversation between Damon and Simone at Thea's match, the one that she overhears and puts everyone in a very compromising position. I thought it would be dope to do this scene study because you guys seem to enjoy my last one, so shout out to y'all. I did a scene study with Damon and Simone in the scene where he embraces her after she is very distraught from winning the tournament that she was in and reminded of her breakup with Jordan. And y'all, I have quite a bit to talk about when it comes to this little throuple, Damon, Simone, and Thea, but in this video, as I mentioned, we're gonna talk about the scene with their conversation. Okay, so I struggled with this to begin with because it really just read so damn messy to me. It just, it still stresses me out now. Even just going back to rewatch the scene by itself, it stresses me out, but I do have a little bit of hope, and I'm going to talk about that here. Also, I forgot to mention, if you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications, because what? You gonna want to join the tribe, so you got to hit subscribe, and I think you're gonna love it here. But in the scene, right, like, my biggest question was like, why do we have this? Why did Damon ask the questions that he asked in this moment? This is supposed to be Thea's moment. They wanted to show up for her. Simone called Damon over because Thea is definitely struggling after the little tennis opponent of hers destroyed her rackets and really tried to psych her out. So, you know, and Damon's her boyfriend. So Simone does the right thing and calls him over. It's so much stuff that gets said that I'm just like, it's so cringy. But the first thing, let me go back because I answered my own question. I'm like, Damon, why in the hell would you ask this girl what do you think about if timing was different? Why would you ask her that here? And I got the answer to my question in going back and rewatching the scene a few times by itself. I think that Damon asked her this because this would be his only opportunity to do so. When I go back to the previous scene, I did the scene study on it, but when Simone tells Damon that they can't support each other anymore and she's pushing him away and all of that, that's not like, he literally starts to lead with it. He's like, I know I need to respect the boundaries that you and Jordan have. I know that we went too far. I know like things have been different since Chicago. And he's like trying to blurt out all of this, just trying to get them back to their friendly platonic places they were at before the little spin, dip, and almost kiss, right? And you know, she shuts it down then, so he didn't get a moment to say it then. But in this conversation, early on in this conversation, he, you know, says it's really dope how you are showing up for both him and Thea in this way. Like, it's really dope that you're doing this. And she seems receptive because he mentions this, and then she's like, you know, we had something between us, we always have had something between us. And she's like conversing, like she's not pushing him away, she's not rejecting him in this moment, she's not stopping him from talking. So by the time that we get to the end when he asks this question, I can understand now, like, okay, he asked it because when else would he get this? And given his interactions with Simone since Chicago, it has been very much so like up in the air, fight or flight. Like, he don't know what he's gonna get. One minute she's rejected him, next minute she's hugging him, the next minute she is, you know, being short in class. Like, he doesn't know what he's gonna get. He still doesn't know what she's going through. And I have a video coming specifically to talk about the writers and why they're keeping Damon in the dark about the Simone and Jordan breakup. I have a separate video about that. Y'all should hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, simply so that you know when that video posts, because I think that it's going to be something very, very important. It's a reason why Damon still don't know that Simone is no longer with Jordan, and they're making it very pronounced in each of these episodes. But I think that, again, that he asked the question because he didn't know if there would be another time where he would get a chance to, and it mattered. But I don't know if it mattered in a way of like him trying to shoot his shot right now, which is kind of what it felt like at the first watch. Like, at the first watch, I was infuriated just because it felt like you asking this question means that, you know, one, it's going to bring up some stuff between you and Simone. And then it makes me wonder, like, is the stuff that's going on with him and Thea real? Now, I also am looking at the scene with him and Thea later on, and I'm going to talk about that in depth. And that provided a little bit more context for me as well. But I think that he innocently asked this question. Like, I don't think that he asked this question hoping for it to lead anywhere. I think that he was really just trying to get clarity in a situation, in a friendship, in a relationship that had become very, very muddy and very, very unclear in most recent weeks. And ultimately, I think Damon's goal is to get Simone back as a friend. In this conversation, they are able to talk about him dealing with letting his mom know about his dad as well as Celine and how that's weighing on him. And you get to see him really have like a sigh of relief in venting to Simone, or like telling Simone what's going on. And you can tell that he missed this. And this is the thing that I want to like really point to, because so many of y'all were just so quick and ready to come to me of, Erica, see, this isn't platonic love. These are the portions that Damon really, really enjoys of the relationship, and it has nothing to do with the romantic attraction. What I think that both of them are very much so attracted to in the other is how safe they feel, how open they can be, and how supported through their trauma and their drama they can be with one another, which is the culmination of what's happening for them platonically. Okay, I think what I'm opening myself up to when it comes to Damon and Simone, because while I'm experiencing so much frustration, and y'all know I have not wanted them to happen for a while, but what I'm opening myself up to is, could this be the possibility of the show, the creatives, the network starting a conversation around this platonic love, there being a spark there, but then what to do next when, one, you can't act on it, one, or two, you shouldn't act on it. Like, I think that if we go down that road, that would put us back into a place of like innovative storytelling, because we've already seen the love triangles done to death, the pining after somebody that you can't have, the this and the that, but like a real conversation around the importance of developing platonic love between men and women, not always leaning into or making something become romantic when in all actuality you probably could benefit from having this person be in your life for the rest of your life as a support, versus being in a relationship with this person for 1 to 2 years and then you fizzle out because the foundation was really strong as a friend, but y'all can't really make it romantically. Now, I know that there's tons of y'all who are shipping Simone, and I'm not trying to take that away from y'all. I'm not necessarily shipping them because I do really, really value and love what I've seen them develop outside of a romantic attraction. Their platonic relationship is dope. The fact that Damon pretty much immediately is able to reveal his feelings about how he is navigating what's happening within his family right now, and all of this bombshell news around the paternity and his true dad and his true mom, and he just feels very, very safe to do so. Thea, later on in the episode is like, well, why didn't you tell me about, your mom and your dad and all of this that you had going on if you really care about me? So it's something to be said about the safety that Damon and Simone feel with each other. And again, it just goes back to like, that does not automatically mean that you now have to sleep with the person that you feel safe with. Like, it don't even take all that. So I am very much so interested in the conversation moving forward of like, how does Damon maintain this friendship, this closeness with Simone, while also being very much so present, very much so solid, very much so still a perfect match for Thea. I think more context is given to this in the later scene when Damon and Thea actually talk, and it's really going to come down to if you believe him when he talks to her. But looking back at that scene as well, I do believe that he genuinely means when he says that he's happy that Simone and him did not work out or did not do anything, because that allowed for him to create space to find Thea. I believe him when he says that. Now, whether y'all do or not, that's up to y'all. But this is a storyline that I can get with. I cannot get with him secretly wanting Simone but being in a relationship with Thea. I'm good. I'm good on that. I can't get with Simone secretly pining after him and not being able to move on while he's in this relationship with Thea. We done already had that. Like, I am good on that, but I would love to see, what do you do with your sparks or your initial romantic feelings when you want to protect and progress your platonic relationship, and you want to keep your community that you're building solid? You want to keep your friendship circle solid. Like, ultimately, this could become a storyline of like, how do you not vortex? Okay, because clearly the All-American gang, the original All-American gang, they done fell into the trap and everybody was smashing everybody. Like, Homecoming, y'all finna show us how you not do it, how you balance your feelings, how you check yourself emotionally and mentally, and you still remain strong and you still feel supported, loved, and safe, and you're able to find more love in yourself, but then also happiness within another relationship. Like, go ahead and give us that. That is a storyline I can get with. But if we about to go down the same tropey love triangle place, I'm gonna need to go ahead and skip that. Now, going back to the scene, I really struggle with some of Simone's dialogue in the scene, because when Damon asked her, have you ever thought about what would happen if timing was different? And she says all the time. I went to a place of like, since the beginning, since they met, has she been thinking about this all the time? When I rewatch this, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say that this has been on her mind since the breakup. That's the time period where I'm gonna start, and her all the time means from there. Now, if y'all don't agree, that is perfectly fine. Argue with your mamas, because I said what I said, and nothing that you're going to say is going to change my opinion, okay? This is Erica's free thinking and processing over here. You just happen to subscribe or have stumbled across the video, and you're able to hear and see my thoughts manifested in this video. But they still my thoughts, baby. I'm gonna go ahead and say that when she says all the time, it's in most recent time, because we can see that playing out in this episode. Like, we see her uncomfortable when Damon and Thea kiss at Thea's match earlier in that day. We get to see her confide in Keisha for a moment when she has to make the call to Damon about Thea and how Thea is really struggling right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and say these are all of the times that she's talking about, and we're not talking about all of the time that their whole friendship has been developing, because I truly don't believe that it has been clear to Simone her feelings from the very beginning. And honestly, I don't think that she had romantic feelings from the beginning. What I will say is that her interest could have been piqued from the beginning, and that makes sense. That tracks, just given the fact that Damon is the second male to show up for her in this way in her life. Jordan being the first, Damon is the second. She has had very negative experiences, and this is outside of her dad. I'm not discounting her daddy, y'all, but she's had very negative experiences. She has a whole baby daddy who didn't want the kid and shamed her and humiliated her and disrespected her and just did all of these things. I could only imagine what Simone was like prior to Baby Shay, prior to, getting into it with Jordan. But we're led to believe that she was sleeping around with people just as freely as Jordan was sleeping around with people, right? So she hasn't experienced love in this way, support in this way, safety in this way from potential male suitors, if that's what y'all want to call it, but like the opposite sex. And I honestly would be taken aback as well. But this is also why I found this so powerful to watch Damon and Simone develop an actual platonic relationship, just because one, we just need that. Like, women, both men and women, but I'm going to speak from Black women's perspective right now. Like, we need to know that we are valued outside of our parts, outside of, what we can provide in reference to procreation and male's pleasure. So for me, watching them develop their relationship, their friendship, has been really dope. I think Simone as a character has needed it. I think the audience has needed to see it. And I think it would be very, very trite to go back and now with the dialogue that we're seeing completely rewrite everything that we saw of like, yeah, this the whole time she knew that she loved him, and it was just like, no, that's not it. I think that you can definitely start to fall in love with people who create safety for you, who help you see yourself in a way that you haven't seen yourself before. Like, and Damon has done a lot of these things the same way that Simone is doing those things for Damon. And there's power to that, right? And there's definitely potential, again, to fall in love or to fall for someone who's doing that. However, at some point there are choices and priorities and intentions that can be set for relationships. And that's where I think there's a very powerful conversation to be had, a story to be told about how it doesn't have to be as simple as, oh, I'm just gonna fall for this boy because I got a little bit of chemistry and we talk a lot. Like, what else? What else is there? Now, the last thing I want to note about this scene is that Simone goes ahead and continues to ignore the mention of Jordan. When he says like, oh yeah, you have Jordan, and she's like, yeah, you have Thea now. She doesn't go out her way or even like make a point to say like, you got this going on with your people in the last couple weeks. Like, you're struggling with your family and this and that. And this is what I'm struggling with. I broke up with Jordan and I don't know what to do with myself. And it's like, girl, you feel safe enough with him to, be very open and honest, except for you don't feel safe enough to tell him this. That to me is percolating in my brain, y'all. I'm really, really thinking about it. Again, that's going to go to why I think the writers are choosing to keep Damon in the dark. And I feel like that's going to be 100% about the setup for like his response. But I would like to say that we see this happen to kind of like protect Simone, or Simone trying to protect herself, because maybe she feels like revealing that would be such a huge shock, or is she still in this moment processing her breaking up with Jordan and the motivation behind it? A lot of y'all feel like she went to LA to break up with Jordan for Damon. I don't believe that, but that is definitely something to think about. It's unclear in the scene what her motivation is for not telling him, for skipping over it, aside from the pain that she feels in thinking about it. And I could totally see that still landing on her and hitting her in a way, especially given the fact that Jordan has voiced concerns about Damon in the past. And I felt like she was being honest in the past when she said that there was nothing there, that they were just friends, because that's where she was at. That was 100% true. She was not lying. But to now be sitting in a conversation with Damon and to be talking about there being a spark there always being something there, and like starting to like realize and recount things ever since the kiss like opened her eyes up to different things. Like, I think that there's a little bit of guilt that could be there, so maybe that's keeping her from revealing. It's one of the most intriguing things about this scene for me. That's my little talk through. I don't even know if I did a full-on scene study, because I really just stated a lot of my opinions, y'all. I didn't really go to the blocking and more technical breakdowns. The most disheartening part about this whole thing is that Thea walks in and overhears it and then hides to listen to the rest. And I know that this all just lands on her so very heavily. Like, what do you do if the man that you're falling for is sitting next to the woman that he potentially has falling for and is like processing that he's now in this new thing and he wants to still be her friend, and all of the things that we're hearing them process, right? Like, that is a damn lie, especially if this is your first boyfriend. And I don't blame Thea for any of the things that resulted from her feelings of listening to this conversation and how she moved after the fact. But to hear my thoughts on all that, you're gonna have to keep it locked, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on this scene in particular in the comment section down below. And again, comment on the scene. Don't comment on my opinion and how wrong you think I am, because I don't care. Argue with y'all's mamas, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.